ship that's going to be retrofitted for, again, passenger use. And they're going to take her from Detroit, move her to Manhattan. They're going to take care of retrofitting her in the sense that they're going to make the steam engine biodiesel, okay, convertible.
Right.
And then the conversion will have a glass wall and become part of an educational process that the ship will be used for. So she has a beautiful ballroom, and in that ballroom will be art displays and educational displays, as well as having this glass enclosed steam engine converted to biodiesel. So as she comes up the river and she's steaming along, she's going to be able to carry 1,500 people.
Oh, wow.
So what we're doing now is we're trying to get Army Corps drawings along the Fleischmann Pier because she draws 15 feet of water, okay?
Yeah.
So now we have to figure out, is she dockable? And if she is dockable, then we already have talked about a transport system to get, quote, the tourists from Manhattan. And by the way, 4 million tourists a year come into Manhattan, okay? And 40% of those tourists in the surveys done by the SS Columbia people have said, we want, even though we're visiting New York City, we want to see small city America.
So are they going to be going cruising up and down the Hudson then with certain stops?
Yes.
And is I'm assuming then Peekskill's putting in to see if they could be one of those.
Well, we have our oar in the water, okay? And we're just hoping that what happens is we can show enough depth at low tide so that she has enough draw to come into the Fleischmann Pier.
Yeah, because it's kind of, it's limited there. I remember.
Well, it collects silt is the problem. And so how severe is the silt collection over the years? You know, I don't know that yet.
Right. So
but we are investigating that whole thing. So not only that, but through the Maritime Historical Society in Peekskill, we're looking at actually getting an historic boat, and as part of our park redesign, having a pier where she's moored permanently. And she becomes an educational facility, okay? So we learn about the history of the boat. We learn about Peekskill's history as a manufacturer along the river. And why were we, back in the beginning of the 19th century, why did we become one of the most important port facilities on the Hudson River? And then based on that, where has the Hudson River taken commerce, not only in the Hudson River Valley, but even out towards the Midwest?
Well, right now we have, isn't one of their offices located right there at the, right underneath, I believe, Crystal Bay, I believe,
yes,
right?
That's correct. And they have an extensive network in the boating, historic boat, and marine areas.
Industry,
Wow. So they're a great resource for Peekskill. And the next step up for them might even be a museum quality location within Peekskill. Now, years ago, when I did some history about the city, I found out that the Peekskill landing site, which is being fixed up now and rejuvenated, so to speak, that facility, at one time, people in the city were talking about putting an actual museum there. And the historic folks, the Historic Museum Society, would come in and run the museum. Now that takes a lot of doing, and so I'm still in that area looking around.
Yeah, to see what's available, what's an option, and things like that. Right.
But we're trying to do things that preserve the riverfront.
And how about the downtown? Where are we now? Before I even we go into the downtown, many citizens and even visitors hear this banging sound that's going on all day long on the, I believe it's the James Street parking ramp.
Oh, yeah.
What is going on? Is it a facelift going on? Is it being knocked down? I mean, we've heard all the stories. Kind of enlighten everybody what's going on there.
Again, I'm going to just drop back for a little bit and say, last year there was an RFP presented to the developers for our downtown. The success of response in that RFP wasn't great. But one of the things that was pointed out there was that anybody who came in would be responsible for the, quote, restoration of the garage, okay?
Right.
So that it would not be a city expense. Well, the garage, since we didn't have the great response and we didn't finalize anything, the garage absolutely needed repair. So what is under construction right now is the repair of the garage. We've done some surveys, and even with the repair and closing off certain sections, because we have to lay new concrete, et cetera, we have to tear out concrete, lay new concrete, we are eliminating some parking spaces, but some of the surveys show that on any one day randomly selected, we still have about 100 spaces spare, even though we have shortened up the parking spaces. People with who have permits to park in there, we are excusing where they park, as long as they have a permit. We're not going to ticket them, and the police are being very.
But the bottom line is that you had to renovate the upper deck, is it, or even throughout the
facility?
Some levels had to be repaired.
There's going to be closings for
timeline on that.
The last timeline I heard was we were trying to be out of there by October.
By October.
Yeah.
And is the ramp though still, or is the parking garage still being used though at this point?
Yeah.
50% capacity, you'd say probably right now?
Yeah, we'll be. Yeah.
So it's not like it's being knocked down. Let's put that.
Oh God, no.
Okay,
no,
so
no,
it's
no.
right now it's up and just being repaired
Yep.
for the repairs that are necessary.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else about the downtown? We're almost at our end here.
Well, yeah. There's a concept that I have for the downtown, and it has to do with an arts center building, okay? And it's really the culmination of the art community within Peekskill. There are many, many solid business models out there that we can follow in this opportunity. See, one of the things about today's development opportunity is cities are in competition with each other. And a lot of cities are doing the same thing, mixed development, okay? Retail, residential. What you want to look at is what you're strong in, and we're very strong in the arts. There is something called the Sagatuck Center for the Arts, okay, and it's in Minnesota, and they've developed a full arts center in their city. And there's also something called the Torpedo Factory.
Hold that up, Joe.
There's something called the Torpedo Factory in Alexandria, Virginia, which is the model for the entire nation for this kind of facility. So what you have in that center are things like the Art League School, which does art training. You have galleries. You have ceramics artists. You have fiber, stained glass jewelry.
So in other words, rather than just doing, let's say, a residential and commercial base, what you're doing is you're building an attraction center. Is what you're really doing. So that instead of just putting up X building, it's X building, but you're bringing the ideas to draw people into the city.
Correct.
And
their model in Alexandria is 20 years old, and around that center, which is on the river, just like Saugatuck is on the river, comes all of the antique shops and all the artsy shops that surround the art center. And so you get a full business commercial perspective using the very strong art base that Peekskill has.
Joe?
Yeah.
Time is up. It goes by again, flies away as always. We'll bring you back on again.
Thank you, Dominic.
All right.
It was great being here, and thank you. Yeah.
So it's Joe Schuder, City Councilman for the City of Peekskill. Once again, we'd like to thank Joe for being our guest tonight. Don't forget, our airing for the Volpe Report is every Thursday night, 8 o'clock on Channel 15 in the Peekskill, Cortland area. And we're not too sure about our Yorktown time slot yet, so we'll be giving you that shortly. But thank you very much. I'm Domenic Volpe, your host. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week on our next segment. Thank you very much. All right.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota